This episode is different. It's not about strategy or technology. It's about conviction, about why free speech, free expression, and the courage to confront evil matter more than ever. I don't expect everyone to agree with me, and that's the point. If you're here, it's because you value discourse, you value courage, and you're willing to step into uncomfortable ground. So today isn't about wide reach. It's about going deep. It's about standing shoulder to shoulder with those who believe freedom is worth protecting, and that leadership requires more than words. It requires action. There are moments when the ground shifts under your feet. Moments when something happens that forces you to draw a line, to stand up, and to say, enough. For me, that moment came with the murder of Charlie Kirk. Not because it was just another act of violence in a violent world, but because it was an attack on all of us. An attack on the very foundation of America, on free speech, free expression, and the right to speak truth without fear. And today I want to talk about why this moment matters. Why it's not just about one man's death, but about what kind of country, what kind of community, and what kind of leaders we're willing to be. Free speech is not a luxury. It's not a privilege granted by those in power. It is the foundation of everything else we hold dear. If we cannot speak, if we cannot disagree, if we cannot express ideas that others don't like, then we are already enslaved. Discourse must be dynamic, messy, challenging, even uncomfortable. Because without it, freedom dies in silence. So what makes this different than all the other violence and death in the world? This wasn't just a tragedy for one family. It was an assault on the very principle that allows us to be who we are. A people who can speak truth to power. A people who can disagree openly without fear. There's an old truth. Evil does not need strength to win. It only needs good men and women to do nothing. And for too long, too many of us, including myself, have been too passive. We hoped reason would prevail. We hoped those consumed by hate would simply fade away. But hope is not a strategy. And silence is not neutrality. It is surrender. Just as in cybersecurity, if you don't confront the adversary, they will keep advancing in the shadows. You cannot sit back while your systems are bombarded. And you cannot sit back while your communities are poisoned. An invisible line has been crossed. And I am ashamed to admit that I wasn't as vigilant, as vocal, or as steadfast as I should have been. But that changes now. Let's be clear. This was an assault on freedom itself, an act of cowardice born not from need or hope, but from hate and ignorance. These extremists cloak themselves in a false moral high ground. They justify their violence with poison, anger, and entitlement. But at the core, it's weakness. It's fear masquerading as strength. And it must be confronted. So hear me now. If you come from my family, my community, my organization, or the people under my care, you will be held accountable. I will not let you gain strength in the shadows. I will shine a light on your ignorance, your cowardice, and your darkness. But this is not just about me. This is about us. We need dangerous people. Yes, I said dangerous. But dangerous in the right way. Grounded in ethics, anchored in integrity, disciplined in action. A society without dangerous men and women of virtue is a society that cannot defend itself. And make no mistake, this is an existential fight. Not against flesh and blood alone, but against fear, ignorance, and evil. Psalm 23 verse 4 says, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." The rod and the staff are not just comforts, they are defenses. And as the Lord is our shepherd, we too must become shepherds, protectors of those who cannot protect themselves. We must become the rod and the staff for our families, for our communities, for our nation. This is not a call to chaos. This is not a license for wild or reckless behavior. This is a call for focused, disciplined courage, tempered strength, steadfast resolve. We are not called to be consumed by rage. We are called to lead with purpose, to act with wisdom, and to confront darkness without becoming darkness ourselves. And that requires more than talk. It requires vigilance. It requires courage. It requires showing up. So here's my message to fear, to cowardice, to evil itself. You will be met. You will not win. You will not silence us. And you will not steal what makes us free. And to those listening who feel alone, unsupported, or afraid, hear me clearly. You are not alone. Stand tall. Speak boldly. Protect fiercely. Because life is a leadership test. And this test is here. Now. Show up ready.